Hello and welcome viewers, I am Pia and you're watching NewsX World. Let's take a look at the top headlines this hour. The US brokered ceasefire in Gaza advances as Hamas delivers the bodies of 3 Israeli hostages through the Red Cross. This comes amid disputes between both sides over delays in fully implementing the first phase of the agreement. US President Donald Trump says that he is not really considering providing Ukraine with long-range Tomahawk missiles, as Russia warns that such arms transfers would not help achieve a settlement in the ongoing conflict. US President Donald Trump has warned that his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping would never act against Taiwan while Trump is in office, insisting that China knows the consequences if they do so. US Secretary of War Pete Hegseth visits South Korea for talks expected on reshaping the role of American troops. He is also expected to visit the DMZ, separating South and North Korea. Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin has departed for a 2-day visit to China. He is set to meet Chinese President Xi Jinping and Premier Li Qiang in order to discuss economic and technological cooperation to strengthen ties between Beijing and Moscow. A 6.3 magnitude earthquake hits Afghanistan, killing at least 9 and injuring over 150 people. The quake struck near Mazar-e-Sharif, which is home to more than 500,000 people, bringing down buildings, including a school. Trump says that the US may conduct military operations in Nigeria, including sending troops on the ground or even airstrikes. On the other hand, Nigerian officials insist that any support against Islamist insurgents must respect its sovereignty. A 32-year-old British man has been arrested for attempted murder after stabbing 11 people on a London-bound train. One victim still remains in a life-threatening condition. Well, viewers, those are the headlines and our top focus. Israel has stated that its security forces in Gaza have received the remains of 3 hostages from the Red Cross under the US brokered ceasefire deal with Hamas. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office has confirmed that the coffins were handed over to the IDF and Shin Bet forces inside Gaza and will be transferred to a forensic medical center for identification. The remains are believed to be among the 11 hostages Israel has been seeking to recover under the truce terms. The handover comes amid mutual accusations of ceasefire violations. Israel has stated that Hamas has been slow to return the remains of the hostages, while Hamas has claimed that Israel continues military operations despite the truce. With us on the broadcast is Ms. Daniela Bloom. She's a political commentator joining us from Los Angeles in California. Thank you so much for taking out time and speaking to us on NewsX World. We'd seen earlier as well, Hamas had returned 3 bodies, although those bodies were not identified to have belonged to any of the hostages. Israel claims that Hamas is trying to delay the entire process of returning the bodies so that they can be given a proper burial. Hamas, on the other hand, is accusing Israel of violating the ceasefire, which Israel claims, on the other hand, was done because one of its troops was fatally shot in southern Gaza. In your assessment, is Hamas trying to delay the entire process? And if so, why are they doing it?
The latest update I was told is that one of the bodies has been identified as Omer Nutra, who is an Israeli and American citizen, and the family is relieved to have him return. I do think that the main requirement for this war-ending negotiation was the return of all alive hostages and deceased hostages. If Hamas thought that this would be as difficult, this should have been noted at the beginning. So it does beg the question, was this a tactic by Hamas all along to delay the returning of the deceased hostages as an excuse for the ceasefire to be broken? It's already fragile as it is. The fact that Israelis and the Israeli government value the lives of their citizens, even their deceased citizens, that this is a top priority for them, speaks volumes of where their values and morals lie.
Indeed, we've seen a lot of action by the IDF on the ground in Gaza after one of its personnel was fatally shot. We've also seen airstrikes in the West Bank take place as there are fears that the terror networks could be revived over there as well. What is your assessment of the larger security situation around Israel at this time, even as the West Bank and the funding sources from Iran are to be considered?
Absolutely. J.D. Vance also remarked on this several weeks ago. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. I think the Trump administration understands that a different approach, a different set of eyes. The Israel has authorized the U.S.'s use of drones to show accountability, to show what things are looking like on the ground. It is certainly going to take a group effort of Arab supporters in this process, an international coalition to ensure that things do not get out of hand, because it is very fragile and everyone does want to see progress.
Indeed, and speaking of the Trump administration, we have learned that there's a key meeting on the anvil. Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara is likely to visit the White House on the 10th of November. This is a landmark development, as he would be the first Syrian head of state to visit Washington and meet a sitting U.S. president in the Oval Office. I want to understand from you, there have been murmurs for quite a while of a security deal being inked between Syria and Israel that is being facilitated by the United States of America. Could we then expect some serious announcements, some landmark announcements to be made by Trump?
I wouldn't be surprised. The Abraham Accords have already been historic. The fact that Trump had had leverage enough to push Qatar and Egypt to ensure Hamas's cooperation in this latest deal with Gaza and Israel. I wouldn't be surprised if Syria, we see Saudi Arabia, people that we never thought would be coming to the table, and this is the credit to Trump and his incredible Dream Team administration.
Indeed, and one last question. There was also a statement that has come in from U.S. Special Envoy to Syria, Tom Barrack, which reflects Washington's frustration with Beirut with regards to the attempts being made to disarm Hezbollah and the lack of headway being made as far as that is concerned. Tom Barrack has branded Lebanon as a failed state. Would you concur with what he has to say? Because since the ceasefire was inked last year, not much has taken place on the ground despite efforts from the U.S. administration.
That's right. Words mean nothing. Diplomacy means nothing. Action is everything. The fact that the IDF had to have some strategic missions to blow up some buildings with known weapons that were being stockpiled for Hezbollah, Israel does not want to see Hezbollah rise again, and the U.S. backs the Israel on that. So we are with an administration who will act swiftly, and I am grateful for that. Israel is grateful for that, and the people who understand that this is not an Israel problem. Israel is a partner to the U.S. with the same enemy, Islamic fundamentalism coming out of Iran. And they are no fools to let it grow again.
Indeed, I request you to stay on with us as we're tracking some further updates. U.S. President Donald Trump has stated that he is not currently considering supplying Ukraine with long-range Tomahawk missiles. Trump has elaborated his stance on the Russia-Ukraine war, suggesting that sometimes conflicts must fight out themselves. He's also clarified that he does not intend to use frozen Russian assets as a lever in negotiations, distancing himself from such discussions currently taking place between Europe and Russia. This comes as Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova had earlier stated that reports that the Pentagon had approved Tomahawk missile supply to Ukraine and sending weapons to Kiev would not help achieve any sort of settlement. Still with us on the broadcast is Ms. Daniela Bloom, Interesting developments coming in. Trump making it clear very publicly now that he would not be sending the Tomahawks. We'd seen earlier that Kremlin had sent a memo to Washington, and talks that were supposed to take place in Budapest did not materialize as well. There are, of course, concerns that Russia has with regards to the frozen assets being used, and they've termed it as financial terror. There are also concerns that Russia has as far as the territorial settlement is concerned, something that the US has made very clear that it will only come to the negotiating table after a ceasefire is in place. What do you make of what's transpiring in the war itself and Donald Trump's position? What does this signal?
Trump wrote The Art of the Deal, and he also understands that not getting involved is a stance in itself. This request of Tomahawks by Ukraine could escalate the situation further to continue what Trump does not want, a forever war. Trump is about solutions, and the U.S. has already given over $200 billion in aid. We don't know where that aid has really gone. There is no return on investment like there is in our partner of Israel. And Trump does want to see this end. He doesn't like the fighting and the casualties on both sides. And he doesn't want the U.S. to keep contributing when this is not close to home. And he wants Europe to step up to the plate much more than they have in terms of supporting their European ally.
Indeed. And speaking of Europe as well, we've seen NATO's response has also been very calibrated at the moment. They have launched Operation Eastern Sentry, but things have not really escalated as they're trying to avoid a hot war with Russia. Could we then see the NATO countries applying pressure in the Baltic area? Because we've also recently seen France, in fact, docking in one of the Russian Shadow Fleet tankers in one of its ports as well.
Yes, Europe is having to acknowledge the mess that they've allowed for so long, whether it's from immigration or not becoming energy independent and relying on Russia, an adversary. They don't just get to rely on the US anymore to lead the ship. And it's a rude awakening, but an equilibrium that does have to be readjusted nevertheless. And I have every confidence that it will be.
Okay. All right, ma'am. With that, I would like to thank you for taking out time, sharing your analysis with us on NewsX World. With that, viewers, we're shifting focus to news coming in, this time from Afghanistan. We're now learning that a 6.3 magnitude earthquake has struck northern Afghanistan, killing at least 20 people. United States Geological Survey has reported that the earthquake hit a depth of 28 kilometers near Mazar-e-Sharif in the Balkh province, which has a population of more than 500,000. The National Disaster Management Authority reported that majority of the deaths have occurred in Balkh and the neighboring province of Samangan. The quake sent residents of Mazar-e-Sharif, one of Afghanistan's largest northern cities, running into the streets in fear. A part of the holy shrine of Mazar-e-Sharif has also been destroyed. Remember, viewers, earlier in August, thousands had died, more than 2,200 to be specific, and many others were injured after an earthquake and a series of aftershocks hit Afghanistan. We know that Afghanistan is especially vulnerable to earthquakes as the country is located on two major active fault lines that have the potential to rupture and cause extensive damage. Joining us on the broadcast is Amrullah Osmani. He's an Afghan journalist joining us from Kabul. Thank you so much for taking our time and speaking to us. At the outset, I want to know, are you, your family members, maybe people you know who are in the northern provinces, do you have any contact with them? Are they safe?
Thank you for joining me and good morning. After a 6.3 magnitude earthquake struck Kabul and several noted provinces, especially Mazar-e-Sharif and Samangan province. So the National Disaster Management Agency says the epicenter of the earthquake was in Samangan province. Unfortunately, many people killed and injured. So I contact my friends in Mazar-e Sharif, and they were truly safe, and they just said that was the powerful earthquake that we ever seen in Mazar-e Sharif.
Indeed, and there are lots of reports coming in that up until now, about 9 people have lost their lives, over 150 people have been injured as well. The death toll has been confirmed by the authorities, but experts are warning because the city is located in a seismically active region, the toll could rise as well. What are experts on the ground saying?
So, according to the local sources and the spokesman of the public health, the Ministry of Public Health, they reported recently this morning that 10 people has been killed and more than 260 people injured. And also this morning, the Ministry of Defense of the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan announced that the rescue and emergency assistance teams have reached the affected areas in rescue operation and transportation of the wounded are underway.
Indeed, and apart from this, what other coordinated relief efforts are taking place? Last time around when we'd seen the earthquake in August, back then as well, there were different teams on the ground, not just a disaster relief team. So what's happening this time around?
So this time also morning, the United Nations said 8 teams were at the scene to assess need and deliver immediate assistance to victims of the earthquake in northern Afghanistan late last night. And also the organization, the United Nations, also expressed its support for the affected communities, and also the Red Cross community also sent the rescue team to the affected area and scenes.
Indeed, and what is your appeal to the international community at this point?
So, in my opinion, this is a serious situation in Afghanistan, as also many international organizations are trying to rescue the people, trying to help them. So I'm just asking them to work together with the Afghanistan government and just rescue the people and send their emergency aid and rescue teams to the affected areas.
Indeed, and speaking of the areas as well, could you explain to our viewers how the fact that Mazar-e Sharif's location, the fact that it's located on 2 fault lines has exacerbated the impact of this earthquake?
So, according to my information, so the most areas that are affected is in the central of Mazar-e Sharif and on the highway from because it affected the highway from Samangan to Mazar-e Sharif.
All right, with that, I would like to thank you, sir, for taking out time, of course, sharing all that information with our viewers. We will continue to track what's taking place in Afghanistan, the response to this tragedy as well. In the meantime, we're shifting focus to what Donald Trump has stated. US President Donald Trump has warned that the United States could deploy troops or launch airstrikes in Nigeria to stop what he called the killing of Christians in the West African nation. Now, speaking about Air Force One, Trump has told reporters that US military action in Nigeria could be possible, adding to his claims that a record number of Christians are being killed in Nigeria. Listen in.
Could be. I mean, a lot of things I envisage, a lot of things. They're killing record numbers of Christians in Nigeria. And they have other countries very bad also. You know that part of the world very bad. They're killing the Christians and killing them in very large numbers. We're not going to allow that.
These remarks follow a Truth Social post, rather lengthy one, in which Trump had earlier threatened to cut off all US aid to Nigeria and go guns a-blazing to wipe out what he claims are Islamic terrorists. He's of course referring to the Boko Haram. Trump has stated that he had instructed the Department of Defense to prepare for possible fast, vicious and sweet action. Nigeria has responded rather cautiously, stating that it would welcome US help against Islamist insurgents, especially those operating in the northeast, only if its sovereignty is respected. Presidential spokesperson Daniel Bwala has stated that it would not be diplomatically appropriate for the United States to take unilateral action without Nigeria's consent. Listen in.
All the report we have so far seen, from assessment from USIP, assessment from Amnesty International, from European Union, have all attested to the fact that there were serious cases of killing, but that from 2022-23 down to 2025, there have been marked improvement. In fact, there is a decline in the rate of killings. So it is intriguing and surprising for us how an old report is being used for this type of thing. But we are all about solution. And because we know America is a partner and they have been very helpful, we see it that it is probably a clarion call for us to have a sit down and then discuss how we can forge a common front in this fight against
Christian leaders in northern Nigeria have welcomed Washington's concern over religious violence but have warned against foreign interference in the country's internal affairs. Archbishop Joseph Jataoyari and other clerics have expressed frustration at the lack of justice for victims while insisting that Nigeria's leadership must remain a domestic issue. Take a look.
Nigerians must not also forget that we've also gone to other countries to tell their leaders to do right. So let's not be hypocrite in this matter. What some of us will not support is anybody deciding who should be our leader. It's purely a Nigerian thing. But if they are reminding us that what is accepted in our constitution, what is acceptable in other standards, we should do it. If we say they shouldn't, then we should also say that the Americans should have nothing to do with us. We can't receive their aid and say they shouldn't be worried about things that are.
Shifting focus to what's taking place in the UK, the British police has stated that the 32-year-old who was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder remains in police custody following a mass stabbing on a London-bound train. Meanwhile, another man arrested earlier has been released without charge. The attack left several people injured and a member of the railway staff in a life-threatening condition. The British police has stated that the railway official still remains in a severe life-threatening condition in the hospital, while 5 others injured in the attack have now been discharged. Meanwhile, passengers at London's King's Cross station have reacted to this mass stabbing incident. Listen in.
I'm going to be honest, I felt quite anxious today because we did the exact same route as the incident last night. So yeah, it was slightly uncomfortable, but all the staff were really lovely and everyone was like calm. So once we were on board, it was fine. It's horrific. It's like, yeah, very heartbreaking. Again, it's a journey I do quite a lot. So yeah, it's a bit scary, but I'm sure the people that need to be involved are going to try and reduce the chance to happening again and working as hard as they can. I think we just saw, my partner spotted the head of the train union inside, like some big dogs. So hopefully they're doing what they can to reduce it happening again.
No, it doesn't make me feel unsafe on the trains. I think train travel is actually very safe. It's safer to come down here by train than to actually come down here by car pretty quick. And that was a moving train, I understand, from Peterborough. I think they stopped it at Huntington. That was a moving train, so that was pretty quick. So yeah, you've got to be impressed with the police. I mean, they do a very, very difficult job. I mean, they're basically social workers these days. So I'm an ex-social worker, so I know. No, I just hope those people are on the road to recovery.
Viewers, due to paucity of time, this is all we have for this bulletin. More news and updates on the other side. Stay tuned on NewsX World.